G'day mate, I'm Greg and this is The Dark Side. But before we get started, make sure you smash that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on the great content I'll be uploading every Saturday, just like this. G'day mate, today we're counting down 5 Australian mysteries, so let's get started. Coming in at number 5 we have the case of Rhianna Barrow. Rhianna Barrow was just 12 years old when she disappeared from her family home in October 1992 in the town of Raynella, South Australia. Earlier in the day, Rhianna had walked to the mall to buy a Christmas card for her American pen friend. She returned home safely after buying the card. That much is certain due to the fact the card was found still in a news agency bag by her mother after returning home from work. At the time, music was playing loudly and there were records on the floor. Her mother called out Rhianna's name repeatedly, looking for her, but there was no reply. In a panic, she called the police to report her missing. The last confirmed sightings of Rhianna was on October 7th, 1992, as she walked home from the news agency. In 2015, a $1 million reward was offered for credible information, but no one came forward. Almost 3 decades later, the disappearance of 12-year-old Rhianna Barrow is still a mystery. And please, folks, if you have any information regarding the case of Rhianna Barrow, please contact authorities and help Rhianna's family find closure. Coming in at number 4 is the case known as the Tynong North serial killings. Between May 1980 and the end of November 1981 in the suburbs of Frankston and Tynong North, southeast of Melbourne, Australia, 5 women and a 14-year-old female were abducted, murdered and dumped in rugged bushland. All 6 were walking or making their way towards public transport when they disappeared. Ranging in age between 14 and 75 years of age, Catherine Headland, Anne-Marie Sargent, Narramull Stevenson, Joyce Summers, Alison Rook and Bertha Miller all inexplicably disappeared until their bodies were found in 2 locations in scrubland on 2 separate occasions. Initially, the 2 discoveries of the bodies were the subject of 2 separate investigations, but they were eventually linked due to case and MO similarities. Despite 2,000 interviews and a reward of $6 million for information leading to an arrest, the identity of the serial killer responsible is still a mystery. Once again, folks, we ask that you please contact authorities if you have any helpful information. Number 3 on our list is the disappearance of Frederick Valentich. Frederick Valentich was a 20-year-old pilot who went missing in October 1978 while flying over the Bass Strait between Australia and Tasmania. Now, at the time of his disappearance, he was flying a Cessna aircraft and had accumulated 150 hours flying time. But on this particular flight over the Bass Strait, something went terribly wrong. During his journey, Valentich radioed Melbourne Traffic Control and reported that he was being followed by an aircraft that was situated about 1,000 feet above him. And Traffic Control explained that there was no known traffic at that height. During his transmission, he reported that the aircraft was large, moving at high speed, and one that he did not recognise, and that it had a shiny surface, and what appeared to be 4 bright landing lights. When Traffic Control asked Valentich to describe the aircraft in more detail, he replied, "It isn't an aircraft." And at that moment, the traffic controller operator could hear the sound of metal scraping. After that, Valentich was never heard from again. Almost immediately, an air and sea search for Valentich was undertaken, including the use of ocean-going traffic, RAAF aircraft and 8 civilian aircraft. The search lasted 4 days and covered over 1,000 square miles, but no sign of Valentich or his aircraft was ever found. To this day, what exactly happened to Frederick Valentich is a complete mystery. Coming in at number 2 is the enduring mystery of Lassiter's Reef. It all started in 1929 when Harold Bell Lassiter made a number of conflicting claims that he had found a massive amount of gold in the desert. He claimed he had found a very rich vein of gold, describing it as a vast gold-bearing reef in Central Australia. By Lassiter's own account, when he was 17, he had ridden on horseback from Queensland to the gold fields of Western Australia, and on that journey he discovered the reef of gold somewhere between the border of the Northern Territory and Western Australia. Lassiter had stated that at the time he had gotten himself into some kind of trouble and had been rescued by an Afghan camel driver. For the next several decades, Lassiter tried to raise funds and find the reef of gold, but he was never successful. The Australian gold rush ended in the 1850s, and during the Great Depression of the 1930s, Lassiter had managed to secure £50,000 to finance an expedition to find the reef. Using motorised transport and aircraft and several experienced bushmen, they tried in vain to find the reef of gold. To this day, the myth continues. Nobody truly knows if Lassiter was telling the truth or fabricating a lie, but it has remained to be one of Australia's greatest mysteries. And number one on our list is the mystery of the Somerton Man. On the morning of December the 1st, 1948, a man's body was found on Somerton Beach, south of Adelaide in South Australia. Dressed in trousers, a dress shirt and tie, his identity could not be established, and it has remained that way to this day. Initial reports concluded that the man had not died of natural causes. In fact, he may well have been poisoned, possibly with a barbiturate or sleeping pills, and had been left at the beach rather than having died there. And clues on his body only led to more questions. Months after his body had been found, a scrap of paper was found in a fob pocket of his clothing. On it, the words "Tamam Shud" was printed, which authorities learnt was Persian for ended or finished. Witnesses who came forward said that on the evening of the 30th of November, they had seen a man resembling the dead man lying on his back in the same spot and position where the corpse was later found. And despite many claiming to have known who the man might be, all claims were unfounded. Now, over the years, there has been persistent speculation that the man may be a spy, given the unusual circumstances surrounding his death and apparent murder, and heightened global tensions at the time. But it's a theory that has never been substantiated. Who is the Somerton Man? And why was he left on a South Australian beach where he would be found? The man, the circumstances, and his identity may very well remain to be one of the greatest Australian mysteries of all time. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed my channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. And as promised, I'll be uploading again every Saturday.